With me, James O Reilly. Very happy to be with you today for James O Reilly English in association with LK Formación, bringing you tailor-made solutions for your business. Go check out the website lkformacion.com. We are looking at today lots of different things. So normally I come to you in the morning time. I let you know last week I'll be moving over to the early afternoon. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're at this time now and it will probably change. We'll see how things go. So what have I got for you today to help you with your English? Well, I got many different things. We're going to be talking to you about what was going on late in the evening while we were sleeping. We're going to be looking at the Monday evening wrap up. So some interesting stories there coming from LinkedIn. We're going to look at our word of the day, phrasal verb of the day, slang and expression. We're going to be looking at an interesting article about 5 things you should never share online. And this is in relation to looking for a job, how it can impact you. And then we are going to look at 4-day working week. Will it work for you guys? It's being trialed in the UK. And then we have healthy selfishness. So selfishness is, to be selfish is egoísta. So we'll be looking at healthy selfishness, if it can be healthy at all. So let's move over and jump in, and we're going to look first at what was going on while we were sleeping. Let me just make sure this camera is at a good size, and what I'm going to do is stick a bit of text up there for you guys, if I can find it, to let you guys know, as you can see up there, what we are dealing with. We're going to be looking at pronunciation, expressions, news, vocabulary, all these things, tips and tricks to help you improve your English. I'm going in. Let's have a look. Okay, first things first. While we look into this, do you have your coffee with you? Maybe it's a bit late in the morning. Well, actually, technically, in the English world, it's the afternoon, because anytime after 12 o'clock is the afternoon. I generally have my coffee in the morning, so now I'm on to the tea. Sipping my tea because it's very burny. Very typical drink for us, tea with milk. And what happened? Okay, so this was the situation last night in the match between Portugal and Uruguay in the World Cup, and there was a person who ran onto the pitch. A man ran onto the pitch with a rainbow flag. And obviously the rainbow flag now is associated with the LGBTQ plus community. Ran on and also had something worn on his t-shirt. This is not a t-shirt what I'm wearing now. I'm wearing a shirt, okay? This is called a button-down shirt and I'm wearing a shirt. But a t-shirt is the more casual one that is cut. It's like a tee. It's like a tee. Okay, so he ran onto the pitch, political protest. I would be interested to know in knowing what happened, this poor guy, because I wouldn't think it's going to be pretty. But fair play in English means well done. Fair play to this guy. He ran onto the pitch with a t-shirt, and also on the t-shirt he had some messages: respect for Iranian women and save Ukraine written on it. Should we be mixing sports and politics? A lot of people will say no, but to be honest, it's unavoidable. You have a platform, there's a World Cup on, millions watching around the world. Somebody will say something political, or in this case, do something political. So the World Cup has come under fire. This is to be under fire. The World Cup has come under fire because of Qatar. It doesn't support homosexual rights. It's pretty strict on women. So it's come under fire in this sense from a lot of countries. And then there was the famous speech from Gianni Infantino, which was a very bizarre speech, strange speech. that he gave just before the start of the World Cup. I haven't been watching too many matches, to be honest, but I think 4 matches a day is good. It's more football, the better. Hopefully, in the end, it will turn out and that this guy is going to be okay. He was tackled to the ground. So the United States, there could possibly be a rail strike. When we talk about trains, there could be a strike. And what Joe Biden is trying to do is organize a vote in the Parliament or in the Congress, I don't know which one, in order to stop the strike, because this could cripple the economy. You want your trains running around the United States to keep business going. And these guys are saying we're going to go on strike around December 9th. Nancy Pelosi is announcing that she will have a vote in the Parliament, in the House of Representatives. Yeah. So let's see what happens there, because a lot of companies around this important time of year decide to strike because it will create a lot of disruption. And what was it often people say is you have the 10 commandments, which are the religious 10 commandments, and then they say 11th commandment, never pass a picket line. That's one of the things people say. Picket line is if you have these guys and they're working for the trains and they're protesting and they say, don't go on the trains, don't go on the trains. This is known as a picket line. And to pass the picket line would be to ignore those people and get on a train. If the trains are running by other people, this is called a picket line. The 11th commandment, never pass a picket line. That's what some people say. I'm not getting involved in the politics, just telling. Okay, and then we have Elon Musk, as ever in the news. This is quite interesting because what it looks like is that possibly Apple are going to ban or stop the download or the application of Twitter on their platform. This is really, really big news. Elon Musk was tweeting yesterday, making messages saying what's going on because his app is not available in the App Store. One of the main people left Twitter. Apple have pulled their advertising from Twitter. To pull is to stop it, to pull it out. So they've stopped advertising on Twitter. They have guidelines for their applications to say that you cannot have an application that promotes violence or promotes this or hatred. So if Twitter is not going to be on Apple, it's going to be very bad news for Twitter. Google also looking into this situation. It seems like it's going to be tough times for Elon Musk if he doesn't revise his guidelines on how to use Twitter, because these platforms generate a lot of money for Twitter. That is Google and Apple. And Elon Musk getting into an online spat, which is an argument, and he said on Twitter, what's going on here at Tim Cook? Tim Cook is CEO, what is he? General manager of Apple, of the Apple brand, who exercises immense influence. Okay, yep, so watch this space. Okay, keep your eyes on this news. That is what's going on there. Okay, I'm going to move across onto the wrap up yesterday, and we're going to look at different vocabulary in relation to business here. Okay, so we've got taxation and Europe-wide corporate tax planned by EU. Okay, so this is why the UK left. This is, if you want to know, basically one of the easy ways why a lot of people in the UK didn't like Europe. It's because of this. Europe-wide corporate tax planned by the EU. Even if it's a good thing, it's the UK didn't like the fact that the European Union wants to get bigger and bigger and has a bigger agenda. An agenda is a plan. It's not like your agenda that you have on your phone. That's your diary, that's your schedule. An agenda is an alternative plan. Okay, so they have an alternative agenda, and that is not only what the UK wanted, which is free travel and free business. Okay, business with a common. I can't even think at the moment, but a common area to do business. Okay, free, tax-free zone. But then what happens is, as the UK see it, you want to tell us what to do. You want the police operating in our countries. You want other companies operating. And now you want to introduce a European tax. So, not that I agree. I'm just saying that this is the feeling I get, that the UK, a lot of people who are skeptical of Europe, they don't like the European Union telling them what to do and then introducing a new tax. So the European Union is considering a region-wide corporate tax to replace local legislations by various governments. So the various governments organise the tax, and now Europe will organise the tax. Such a reform would require approval by all 27 EU member states. Yet, however, if ratified, if agreed, it could boost cross-border investment and limit countries' use of tax breaks to lure corporations from other nations. Right. Oh, this is really important because of where I'm from, Dublin. You have big corporations there, Google, Facebook, all these people paying very, very little tax. And now Europe is not happy because it would be better for other regions. All these companies going to like the Silicon Valley of Europe, which is Dublin, and then other places creating similar ideas, perhaps in Valencia in Spain or Malaga in Spain, creating these local government tax breaks and trying to create their own little Silicon Valleys. However, Europe wants to stop this, and it's basically saying, if you're going to do this, we're going to tax you the same no matter where you go. So there's a bit of jealousy going on between the countries. Let's see what happens. Innovation. Rolls-Royce and EasyJet test hydrogen-powered jet engine. Okay, interesting. For the first time ever, Rolls-Royce engineers are running an aircraft engine on non-polluting hydrogen. Fantastic. The project, which receives EasyJet financing, aims to test whether a jet could avoid emitting CO2, carbon dioxide. Experts note that results are far from guaranteed, and development might require decades and cost billions. Well, at least they're trying. It would be so amazing in the future if we have non-polluting hydrogen engines. That would be very good. The main problem is who's going to make the money. Okay, moving on. Management. How flexibility leads to middle managers' burnout. Leading teams through the fundamental shift. Leading teams through the fundamental shift to hybrid work proves to be a challenge for middle managers. Mid-level executives report 40% more work-related stress and anxiety than last year. To help managers cope better, companies should provide fresh training for bosses operating in flexible work environments. Interesting. What's the reason? Too many meetings, maybe. Couldn't tell you, but that is the fact. 40% more work-related stress. Are you feeling more stressed? Are you working more? Well, here's more training. You need to turn up. You need to turn up earlier to work tomorrow to do your training, and then leave work later. Okay. I hope people can reach a good equilibrium in their lives. It's not something. Burnout is when you can no longer take it. It's when you have worked too much, and it affects your mental health. It affects your physical health. It's not that you're just working too much. You burn out, which is you can no longer work. You'll probably get physically sick and you need to leave work. Idea of the day: how to effectively mix text and non-verbal messages. For your employees, customers, and partners to understand you better, be conscious of your facial expression, tone of voice, and meaning of what you say, says Marcus Cohnlein. How we can communicate more effectively. Listen. People want to be heard. Who are you talking to? Use your words specific to your audience. Be clear about what you say. Okay. Okay, let me see. That's very confusing for me. Let me read this again. For your employees, customers, and partners to understand you better, be conscious of your facial expression, tone of voice, and meaning of what you say. Okay, so just be very conscious. I'm talking to you. I need to be sure that you can understand me. I need to be speaking clearly because it's your second language, perhaps. How we communicate more effectively. Listen. People want to be heard. Who are you talking to? Use your words specific to your audience. Be clear about what you say. I think what confused me was the punctuation. There's the punctuation. Here's the colons. It confused me a bit. Okay. Today's debate: should exercise become a non-negotiable routine? This is a Professor Theodoros Evgenieou at the INSEAD, or the INSEAD. For anyone having a tough period, I totally recommend to have non-negotiable routines. Definitely include exercise minimum 4 times a week. Reading daily, which means reading every day, and whatever else. Reaching 50, I guess I won't get better at weightlifting. That's weightlifting. But I never before used more weights than my weight. Feel well, not to feel good, but to do good. Non-negotiable routines are key for this. Okay, just make sure you are doing some sort of exercise 4 times a week. Get out and walk, listen to a podcast, do a bit of weights, not too much, just something to keep you healthy. All right, I cannot disagree with that. And I'm going to go on to our words of the day before we go on to the 5 things that could be ruining your career on social media. First things first, before we look at our expression. Having my tea. I don't want my tea. The problem when you have a cup that's so, I don't know, let me see if you can see this. Yeah, I've got a big old cup here. The problem with this is, as you can see here, is it makes the tea go cold too quickly. So because it's losing all its heat from the top. I'm very particular about this. I prefer a smaller mug. This is a mug, okay? What does it say in Spanish? Eres una Nutella que endulza mis días. Okay, you are the Nutella that sweetens my days. Tea. If it comes down to tea and coffee, it's gonna be difficult. Right, we're gonna move across and look at our expression, which is a ballpark figure. You saw in the picture a minute ago. A ballpark figure is a rough estimate, an approximation. So if we're talking about business and or something that people are going to do for you, you would say, how much is it going to cost me? Oh, it's going to be very expensive. Okay, but how much? Well, I couldn't say. Okay, well, just give me a ballpark figure. Well, probably around 7,000. Okay, so it's an approximation, a ballpark figure. You don't really need to know where it comes from. It's a kind of baseball expression, but which the ballpark is the name, a kind of name people give to the baseball stadium. It's not really important. A ballpark figure. It's very common in In finance, or when we're talking about numbers, a ballpark figure, often would say, give me a ballpark figure. All right then, and we're moving over then to our next one. Is that a ballpark figure or a ballpark estimate? Let me see what examples they gave. We don't know the exact cost, but a ballpark figure would be around $6 million. I know you can't tell me exactly when it'll be finished, but can you give me a ballpark estimate? Okay. I don't hear that one so much. Generally, it's used when we're talking about numbers. So a figure as well, when we're talking in numbers. Figure means number. All right. Let's go on back here, and we're going to look at our phrasal verb of the day. Let's see if it's any use. Expose to. Expose to. And the meaning is, if you expose someone to something, you introduce them to something they might not otherwise see or experience. For example, we try to expose our students to art, music, and literature that they wouldn't normally come across. To come across means to encounter, to meet. Be exposed to something. It's a good idea for young staff, young employees, to be exposed to various work environments. Okay, be exposed to, that means to encounter. To meet or to encounter. Okay, it is used often. In this type of work, you get exposed to all types of different situations. I get exposed to different types of students, for example. Exposed to. Slang of the day. Let's see if it's American or British. Old bat. Okay. An old bat is an unpleasant old woman. It's a kind of insult that you can use to insult an old woman if she's being like a difficult person. The old bat who lives downstairs called the cops when we were having a party. It's an insult. So if you are younger, you're having a party, the older woman downstairs, generally 60 plus, let's say. Normally when we talk about living in apartments, I live here, and then the old bat upstairs, and the old bat downstairs. Below me is downstairs and upstairs. It's the kind of colloquial expression we use, upstairs, downstairs. That was actually the name of a TV series in the UK during the 70s, I think 60s and 70s. I just know the name, I didn't see it. Yes, it's used. Yeah, old bat. It's an insult for an older woman. And it's not so rude. It's not a swear word. We used to think Mrs. Jones was just another bad-tempered old bat, but she's actually a lovely lady when you get to know her. That happened to me when I was younger. When I was younger, I used to think one of my neighbours was a right old bat, you know, really, her husband as well, they were like. And then as I got older, I ended up getting along with them really, really well. And they were I just don't think they were great with kids, you know, but as I became like a teenager and a bit older, they could communicate with me more. But when I was younger, I was playing football on the street, the balls going into their garden. They weren't very impressed. She was an old bat. That's how I felt. And then as I got older, super, really, really, really nice people. Yeah, I used to just, you know, even stop and I'd talk and we'd chat. So, trying to think of their names. Been a while now. Can't remember. It will come back to me. It's going to annoy me now because I want to know. Okay, and let's go on to our saying of the day. From English Club. If you wish good advice, consult an old man. Okay, if you're looking for good advice, consult an old man. Possible interpretation. Old people have a lot of experience. If you want to have good advice or recommendations, ask an old person Not a young one. That's quite interesting because when you go on and that when you go onto YouTube now, for example, and you're looking how to in certain areas, okay, I would trust older people ahead of younger people, but if you're looking for advice from if you're looking for advice about money, I would say you want to get advice from older people, or if you're looking for advice about investing and so on, you want to be getting, older people who have the experience. And you see these YouTube videos of people who are younger and they're like, this is what you need to do, this is where your money, and you're like, yeah, you're in your 20s. I probably should be consulting someone with a lot more experience, so it is that is something it's a piece of advice. But if you're talking about this type of thing, electronics and the new, I would ask younger people for their advice. Depends on what the topic of conversation is. Depends on what we're talking about. All right, let's move across then. So that was that. And we're going quite quickly today to move across now to, where am I? This one, is it? No. Yes. Social media. Are your social media posts ruining your career? Reputation Manager reveals the 5 things you should never share online. Okay, we're all online now. If you're looking for a new job, this is very important for you. Okay, and you might be surprised by the last one. I thought it was quite interesting. Let's jump down and just get into it, because they always put this stuff at the start. Companies are nuanced by real people who make human judgments. Organizations try to project an ideal of outward presentability. That means your company wants to look great always, and if you are presentable, they are presentable. And uphold a culture on how people who work for them are expected to behave. So you're expected to behave a certain way when you work for them. It is important because consumers form opinions about companies by what they see online, and this extends to what their employees behave like online. Research found that 71% of UK businesses and social media posts said social media posts are the most damaging content to affect their online image. So if I work for a company and I go online and I post something, perhaps through my LinkedIn, and I say something controversial or political, I can damage the brand, can damage the company I'm working for. 12% said they experience online reputational issues due to their employees' conduct. Okay, an increasing number of employees. Let's get down. Number 1. There are types of posts that could get you fired or reprimanded. That means you're like, don't do that, reprimanded, okay? Get into trouble. Posting about drunken escapades or risque content. So drunken escapades is like, oh, I went on a weekend with the boys. My friend was getting married. Oh, I don't remember anything. Oh, so drunk. We're in like shots, and that's a drunken escapade, maybe like a weekend break. Risque content. Risque is kind of means more like showing your body, not wearing much perhaps. Let's see what it says here. Even if companies don't want to admit it, an increasing number of them scour, that's search for, your online LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, especially Twitter, before deciding whether to hire you. They want to make sure you are not going to embarrass them. They're looking for off-color remarks. Off-color. If this were white and it gets a bit dirty, it's off-color. So off-color remarks would be saying something racist, for example, politically insensitive, ill-advised escapades. That's the drunken time when you go to Prague and you go on the, what's the name of that beer festival? The Oktoberfest. Or maybe signs that you might just be a little bit of a troublemaker. Okay. Troublemaker is someone who causes trouble. Risque content, such as having OnlyFans and promoting it on social media, can also get you in hot water. To get into hot water means to get into trouble. A teacher was recently sacked for her OnlyFans account and her social posts around it. Okay. So OnlyFans is a way that people can sell risque content of themselves at a price, but also that's something they can do in their private time. But to promote this, or even for people to find out, if you're a teacher, you can get fired. I'm not sure if that is legal. In some countries it's illegal. I read about a judge recently in, I don't want to say which country it was. It was in, I think it was in Venezuela. I can't remember. So I'm okay. She is a judge, and she has I think she has OnlyFans, but she says, and she is right in that country, that it's her private life. She can do what she wants, and she cannot lose her job. So she's kind of become famous because of this, and she's a juez, judge. If you're on sick leave, sick leave is de baja. If you are on sick leave, de baja, it's not good. You need to be careful about posting things because you're supposed to be sick, and it can lead to confusion. All right. Number 2, bad mouthing your company or boss. Bad mouthing your company or boss is saying bad things about them. My boss makes me work on the weekends. My boss is always sending me extra work on the weekends, late in the evening. She is sending me WhatsApp. Okay, you're complaining. You're bad mouthing your boss, okay? Or your company. There was a situation explained here about a company worker who knew what they were doing. There's a famous empanada company in the UK called Greg's. They sell pasties or empanadas, and their employee took a video of the waste of all of these pasties or empanadas, pasties, and they were being wasted. They were not being given. They were being thrown in the bin. That employee took a video. The employee knew he or she would be fired, but is, in a sense, it was to show, look at my company. Look what my company does. It's throwing out all of this food, and there's people that are hungry. And of course, the company fired the person, but what the person was trying to do was good, and the person knew he or she was going to be fired. And that was posted on TikTok. Number 3, sharing your opinions about celebrities or hot takes on burning issues. Okay, let's read a bit of this here. The other painstaking obvious is, at least for career implications, don't post anything that could be perceived as racially motivated, sexist, homophobic, transphobic posts or comments. Absolutely don't do it. Especially in the English world, it's very politically correct. You do not want to be posting anything that is your opinion. If you do, you certainly want to keep that private or to your private circle. Most companies, while you are entitled or you have the right to have your own views, companies may find your online hot takes on a certain segment of the population, or find your scathing public views on a celebrity with a not so subtle undertone, and you decide to avoid it. Okay, so if you're the type of person who is commenting on TV shows and you're saying she's only like this because of this, or he's like this, companies will avoid you like the plague. Okay, we have this expression, to avoid like the plague is to stay away. That person is going to cause us problems. Most companies don't want to be associated anywhere near these things. It's often best to debate these things offline. Better to debate them offline. Okay, in your personal WhatsApp groups, yes, not on Twitter. They don't want to know. It's worth thinking to yourself, is my need to post this for whatever reason going to be worth my livelihood? So your livelihood is what makes you money. So when you're sitting in your on your sofa watching something on TV and you want to write something on Twitter, think, if you're going to criticize, will this affect my job? Can I lose my job because of this? Am I offending anyone? Is it worth it? Vale la pena? Is it worth it? Okay. Number 4, hitting back at people who annoy you. To hit back is to defend yourself. It might be tempting to fire off a quick response online to a comment that's bothered you, but it could mean you're perceived as being abusive online, or even being seen as a cyberbully. You can slip into this even if you think you're being harmless. So even you don't know, you think you're being a harmless person, you can be perceived as an aggressive person, as a bully. Perhaps you get into football, Twitter arguments with other fans and take it a little bit too far. Perhaps you like to leave harsh comments on celebrities' appearance online, or maybe you make unnecessary negative posts about someone. Even if you think you are being lighthearted, which is even if you think you are joking, it could be seen as overstepping the mark. To overstep the mark is to pass the line. Companies may find out and deem you to be abusive online. Now, here we go. What about this one? Oversharing on LinkedIn. One thing companies are now looking at when recruiting is the types of posts and attitudes people display on LinkedIn. Now, I'm streaming here onto LinkedIn. It's all the rage, which means it's very popular to overshare on the networking site. If it's about your political views, about mental health struggles, stories about dramatically leaving your company, your latest selfless act, or something you did in Starbucks, like I helped someone, this woman couldn't afford her coffee, so I bought her one, and high-fiving myself. Or having a dispute over leadership styles. You often see someone makes a post about leadership, and then in the comments you have often people disagreeing a bit too much or being very opinionated in those comments. It's fine to have an online personalities, but other companies or potential future employers or clients might be making judgments about you and your over-the-top posts. Over-the-top means too much. Let's have a tea break here. It can go against you if you become one of these people who post too much on LinkedIn. Always keep posts on LinkedIn professional, friendly, and results-based. It is interesting, yes, because you can get sucked in, even on LinkedIn, to that kind of behavior of a WhatsApp group. But remember, if you're going to be looking for a new job, people are going to be looking at your comments. People are going to be looking at the type of person you are. And it is a business corporate platform. Might want to keep that in mind. Always keep posts and comments on LinkedIn professional. Stay clear of any posts and comments that are controversial, political, over the top philosophical, and or too much personal information nature. Okay, don't talk about your private life too much or your private struggles too much. Your attempts of being a thought leader might have the adverse effect on people thinking you are a little too much. Okay. Yes, there was. They go into a story here of a CEO who went on to. Maybe we can have a look at this. I didn't look at this. If I click on this link, basically I'll give you the backstory. It's like a CEO of a marketing agency who fired 2 members of staff, thought that it was like going to be seen as nice. And anyway, let's just have a look and see what we can. I'm gonna need the headphones. I don't know where they are. I found them. Now I have to be very careful because I've got lots of wires. And I already almost knocked a light over. I'm going to stick this in here because I want to watch this video. Okay, we're connected. Right, let's have a look at this video. I'm going to close this pop-up window. Come on, let's see the video. This is the crying CEO. And we just want to see the video. Oh, come on. It's not going to show us, is it? Ah, dear. No. Why not? Let's go into the gallery and see if it's in here. So what he did was he thought that I'll go in onto here he is, posted onto LinkedIn, and he had to get rid of 2 employees, and he was crying and he wanted to seem like a good guy, but there was a backlash, and what's his name? Braden Wallachy. We're gonna get this video. Braden. We're gonna find it before. Okay. Let's have a look at this. We of course have to go through the adverts, but we will suffer. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's unfair? He was and actually what I'm doing is I haven't even seen the video, but I'm making comments, and this is what so many people do nowadays as well, making comments before we see it. Here we go.
Hypersocial is a business that specializes in optimizing LinkedIn posts. Braden took to the internet a few weeks on LinkedIn.
Not playing. Oh, come on. American CEO lays off employees, posts crying. Okay. So there is in fact no video, but what he did was he posted a photo of himself crying. He thought that people would think, wow, this guy is such a really good, nice person. He really felt bad letting these people go, but in fact what we say is it backfired. To backfire is when it actually goes the other way. So he thought he would be a hero. We're going, oh my god, we'll get this guy, we'll make him famous for being a nice guy. It didn't work. Okay, it didn't work. So there you go. Let's quickly run through and just say what they were again. Number 1 was... Where are we? Zoom in there a bit. Number 1. 5 things that you should never share online. Number 1 is posting about drunken escapades or risque content, bad-mouthing your company or boss. 3, sharing your opinions about celebrities or hot takes on burning issues. Hot takes is like your your opinion. Hitting back at people who annoy you. And number 5, oversharing on LinkedIn. So yeah, it's interesting. You can actually overshare on LinkedIn. You don't want to be doing too much. So here it says, people on LinkedIn felt he was looking for self-absorbed attention, not taking action to support his employees. Someone called him a tone-deaf narcissist. To be tone-deaf is when you can't understand the rhythm or the melody of music. But when we say someone is tone-deaf, is they say something without thinking about the effect it can have on people. It didn't go down well. He got the completely wrong sort of attention on LinkedIn. Yeah, well, that's going to happen. LinkedIn can be just like Twitter. Think before you post on LinkedIn. You should become respected for credibility and helpful posts on LinkedIn rather than giving into hot takes, debates, and self-absorbed posts. Okay, so let me know what you think about that. I would agree. Also, be careful not to become cringe on LinkedIn. Again, future employers and potential clients might choose to avoid you. See cringy aspirational posts on LinkedIn, even celebrating the most mundane tasks. To cringe is like, so bad. It's the cringe. For example, and maybe when you, I don't know, you're someone in your family meets other people, meets your friends, and then your father tries to tell a joke, and it's so bad. And the cringe is when you go, oh, no, this is to cringe. Okay, so when we see these posts on aspirational posts would be reach your future you, or live your truth, all these motivational things. People might see that as cringy. Okay, I mean, hey, I don't know. It's for debate. It's up for debate. Okay, so what have we done? We've gone through the morning. We have gone through the wrap up. We've gone through our we've gone through this, the CEO. Yeah, we've done our 5 things. Okay, selfishness. Experts reveal why healthy selfishness is the best way to function at your best. I'm going to take off these headphones. Let's have a bit of tea before it actually goes cold on me. It's probably cold now. Just before it gets cold, it's called lukewarm. So often when the water is not hot, say, was the water not? It's only lukewarm. Lukewarm. Okay, that's your word for the day. All right, a very native word. Let's see what it is in Spanish. Lukewarm. No, I have the English one. Okay, here we go. Lukewarm. In Spanish, it is tibio or tibia, templado. Often, when you go and you want to buy a bottle of water here, they'll templado or del tiempo. If it's a bottle of wine or something, we'll say room temperature. If they would say, would you like it chilled, put in the fridge? Or is it, no, room temperature. And then tibio or tibia is lukewarm. Like Luke Skywalker, it's the same spelling. Okay, healthy selfishness is the way to function at your best. Okay. Know your boundaries. Learn to say no. All of us know our strengths, weaknesses, and capacity levels. Do you need to say no to your daughter or son when they ask you again if you would mind babysitting or childminding this weekend? Say it. Okay, this is for older people. Do you want to have the time to go on that walk or read the newspaper on your own with a cup of tea or see that play? Do it. Okay, so don't be afraid to don't be afraid to say no to people. Okay, so this is something that's becoming more and more common in the north, in the UK. People thinking about number one. It can be seen as selfishness, but this could be seen as positive type of selfishness. Actually, what I'm going to do is I think I will leave this for the next day, and we'll look at that the next day because I can then talk about it with more time. We're running out of time here, so thank you for joining me. Quite enjoyable talking to you today. I hope your day is going well. Just remember, it is the afternoon. The afternoon goes until about 5 o'clock, and then after 5 o'clock you're into the evening. This is quite complicated for Spanish people because we divide the days into different parts of the day. So but we don't think we do, but we do. So in Spain you have the morning, and in English we have the morning. Everywhere you have the morning, but what time does the morning end? The morning ends for us, okay, when I say us, okay, English speakers. The morning ends for English speakers at 12 o'clock, midday, 12 noon. That's when the morning's finished. After that, you're into the afternoon. The afternoon is then all the way up to 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, it's the evening. So what I've realized here living in Spain is that the afternoon is kind of after lunch, perhaps. So after 4 o'clock, you're into the kind of that part of the day. You're into the afternoon, that part of the evening. That's when your afternoon starts. That is after 4 o'clock for us is already coming towards the end of the afternoon. That's coming. So 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I rarely hear people saying 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not common. So 5 o'clock is kind of its own little time. The afternoon, 5 o'clock, and then from 6 o'clock is the evening. 5 o'clock would be the early evening, just to let you know. And that's it. Yeah, I'll just keep repeating these things for you, letting you know. And of course, it could be different in different places. Let me know in the comments. Hope this is helpful. I'm going to be back. When am I going to be back? On Thursday, I'll be back with the James O Reilly early morning, mid-afternoon, late morning coffee. I don't know what time it is anymore. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great one, and I'll see you on Thursday. All the best.